G'day friends and fans, welcome to Dave Talks Off. From girl boss to trendwife, the transformation of Gen Z. Gen Z has, a number of Gen Z have become anti-feminist, and in fact there are more identifying as right-wing than left-wing. And of course, some obscure bush pig is clutching her pearls and having a hissy fit over it, saying that it's marginalizing in a poisonous culture. A poisonous culture, you say? Hold on. And there's a link between misogyny and extremism. Oh no! And the majority, of course, mistrust women and marginalize violence against women. And this is a survey of women, all the way, that they're identifying as right-wing.
Right turn, Clyde.
So, almost 70% sympathise with extremism. And of course, you know what the extremism is, don't you? Yes, they're sympathising with men. Oh no! And what do we say to Mary Papadikis?
Shut up!
Alright, so what a misandrist. But the facts remain, right? The phenomenon of young girls and young women turning against feminism is a complex issue. Feminists don't know what to do with it. They're trying to study it and wonder why women are going their own way. Well, just like when feminists cannot express their violence towards men, and of course when they cannot control the young girls, or you have the older women, who we will not name, shall we, Meryl Streep, who prey on the young girls and the up-and-comings, like Oprah taking her young friends to see, allegedly, to see the various producers and directors in Hollywood, not just the Harvey Weinstein. We all have seen that. But it's online influencers who they seem as a great source of disinformation, because they see a huge disconnect between what the feminists preach and what they experience in real life, particularly the workplace, where all young people in the workplace see nothing but, oh my God, you put up with this? Because it is a cultural shift, a cultural shock, as many struggle to find work. Of course, many women, they want to give up and become what's called a trendwife. Now, this trendwife movement, like feminism, has many forms and formats. But trendwife is a worldwide phenomenon where the basic, core, simple version is you stay at home and be a spouse. Now, it doesn't always have to be a mother, but more and more young women are choosing men between 20 to 30 years older than them, sometimes older, to marry or at least cohabitate with or at least reproduce with. And this is driving feminists mad. Young men, well, they don't care, because the young dumb full of cum are going to find it easy to still pick up women, and they're not really interested in families. They, of course, are preyed upon by various feminist phenomena such as the cougar. But, of course, with more and more young women desiring traditional roles, the feminists are having a hissy fit. And, of course, there's the perception of feminism and the girl boss as a controlling lesbian. And a lot of young people are rejecting lesbianism outright because they see it no different. They hear feminists talking about sexual predators, and then they put their arm around them and says, "Let me teach you about how to have a real relationship." And it's like, you're the sexual predator, right? Because more and more young people are waking up to manipulations and manipulation tactics, such as the cult tactic of we have the real information and that all other outsiders are wrong. You know, we have this mysterious secret information. We alone are the source of truth. It's cult behavior. Feminism is cult behavior, right? Where you have to give up your identity. You have to give up your family. You have to give up your friends, your lovers, and you have to start dressing a certain way and behaving a certain way. And many Gen Zers see millennials as sheep who fall for fads and manipulations. And they honestly, right, I don't think it's just yet myself. I honestly think a lot of these boomers who are just having a lark and seeing who they can manipulate and how far they can push people. You know, like a giant rat experiment or something. But, of course, the problem is, of course, the mainstream portrayal of the girl boss, but particularly with the false version of liberation that feminists have, because the girl boss works more hours outside of the home than you would work as a trad wife at home, right? Modern conveniences have made home life comfortable. Many know from their own family experiences that mum really does not do hours and hours of housework, and is often passed out on the floor, complaining that she does not have an adequate sex life. And particularly to teens, they see just nothing but selfish narcissism, where all you have to do is, right, you want sex? Go ask Dad. No, that's too... No, it's complicated. Yeah, so kids basically see their mothers as morons. And who blames them? But it's a lack of also inclusivity. We're not talking about people of colour. We're not talking about LGBTQ or anything like that. What young people are finding is that if you're white and straight, you're excluded. If you don't participate in LGBT in some form, you're excluded. They see more and more, even with trans and trans exclusionary movements, there's still that either female superiority, lesbianism, or in some cases like JK, the Great Grift, where it's supporting groups that support her and Harry Potter, and it's just a marketing funnel. And if you've ever done marketing or know about these marketing scams, you know what a funnel is, right? In broad terms, they create a bunch of videos in JK's a series of books. Although originally there was only one, the others came once she had a movie and book deal, and we won't go into that. But basically, right, every time a product came out, right, all these influencers will funnel people through videos to her book and to the movies. People would have exclusive access. There would be special websites, special deals, special events. There was $1 billion in marketing. This is why Warner Brothers gone broke. People forget about the marketing, the pushing of the merch, the British government building a huge theme park. And where is all that? Where is all the... Well, in the end, J.K. Rowling just laughs on the way to the bank. But when you start to see Gen Z looking at it going, this is just one giant scam, right? I go to these groups and they want me to buy children's books. People are saying, maybe 20 years ago it worked. But today, I'm sorry. I wish I could make Gen Z read. J.K. Rowling did not make a whole generation read. Because it didn't last. It flipped a few millennials and that's about it. And in reality, there are those who read, and are going to read. It wasn't like everyone who bought Harry Potter was the first book, but it was just a scam, a scheme, to lure in mothers to get them to buy books without even thinking, without qualifying whether or not they're actually something their kid would like. It was thrust upon many, and of course, like any fad, it fades because there is no genuine love for the product. And I think that's what Gen Z look at and see feminism as a fad, because they see different versions, they see it as fractured, they see it as a cult, and of course the backlash and polarization. Right, if you say anything against gender identitarianism, you experience backlash. You see channels get downvoted. You see people click off your videos. They'll click off and on or refresh your videos, try to break the algorithm, this mysterious algorithm that everybody seems to tell you is don't short watch your videos and don't. If your videos get downvoted, the algorithm will punish you and stuff like that. But all these things, that's why I'm against YouTube and their secret algorithms, right? That the government should step in and say, look, it's a tool of market manipulation. It's anti-competitive. But because it's so secret, you can't prove that these algorithms are there to actually be tools of manipulation and view botting. Now, of course, there are anti-feminist perspectives that genuinely cause, like, trying to link feminism, racism, social issues. Yet when, say, they talk about Gaza, they don't talk about women's rights. And when Iranians talk about women's rights, they call them Islamophobic. So this intersectionality has, Gen Z says, wait a minute, you're for all these things in the West, right? But when it comes to Gaza, you'll ignore women of Gaza and their voices and listen to the all-male Hamas. And then you go to Iran, where you have women's group who led an uprising until recently, and now they complain that the movement in Iran has been hijacked by men. Look, men going their own way is so complicated. It's a series of ongoing things. But as far as I'm concerned, the Iranian men are defending men's rights. And that is, I think, a fundamental tenet of mgtow, where men have rights. And if you don't defend them, because in today's culture, if the government says there's a draft tomorrow, your rights go from a blank piece of paper to, we won't even show you the blank piece of paper. You just get in the truck. And this is the way, so the only thing conservatives have conserved is on a piece of paper, blank piece of paper. But this backlash where young women see men more as victims than participants in society. And there is this sympathy for men amongst young women, because young women don't want to be part of this global boo-hoo movement where I can't get married and have children or no dating or anything until we fix the world. If you can't fix the world, then there's no point. They see that as Don Quixote, that they're just chasing windmills and wanting more and more attention. And along the way, they just want to walk over the hopes and dreams, often which many of these young girls actually want to have families. And it's literally beaten out of them. That's why there's a rise in violence amongst young girls. They're turning on each other, and it's turning violent. But these nasty characters over at universities, all they care about is their feminism. And young people have had enough. And they want nothing to do with feminism. But because it's so that feminism and cultural Marxism are so entwined, because as I explained, Feminism is Marxism. It's just a rebranding, right? Just like fascism was a rebranding of Marxism, right? And socialism. And it's all a rebranding of collectivism. It's where you have a hierarchy where society is structured and ordered, and there is no alternatives, right? The majority decide the culture. This is why you hear so much about Donald Trump is a threat to democracy, but he won the popular vote. So how can he be a threat to democracy when the majority want Donald Trump? And that's the thing. The left cannot believe they're the minority now. The left cannot believe that they've not only lost young men, but they're now losing young straight women. And that's why they want to turn more and more women. This is why they turned to gay, right? Don't forget, feminism, Marxism, they all come from nihilism, right? And collectivism. They all want to destroy the manosphere or whatever, what do you call it? But in reality, most people just want to say,
screw your feminism.
Whoops. Forgot to reset. Oh. Thank you for watching. Now, I honestly think we have, this video is just to inform you. There's no need to lift a finger. Maybe share the video, like, share, and subscribe. But as far as mgtow or goes, the best thing we can do is just keep doing what we're doing. There's no need to change. I don't think doubling down or exerting more pressure on feminism is required. Let the teens grow. We advise them and let them go their own way. And if they want to be monks, let them be monks. If they want to have families, let them have families. If things fall apart, then we pick up the pieces. It is not our place to save people from every harm in society, because then you're just sitting at home with nothing, and that's the worst harm of them all. So please support the channel. You can support me on Ko-Fi, Patreon, buy my books, buy my merch. Really appreciate each and every one of you. See you in the next video, and bye for now.